It's already going. It's on the page. So if
Is it
you're,
Kara on it?
Well, they have a separate situation.
yeah.
They're not in because we haven't voted on it. So we have taken care of, we've taken care of the logistics.
No, please.
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. What time is it? It is 5:38. And before we get started, we'd just like to do a roll call to make sure we have quorum
Stephen Mitchell,
here.
Akira Barclay, Charles Barron,
Here.
Joyce Brown,
Present.
Dwayne Davis,
Here.
Richard Flowers, Eugene Lewis,
Here.
Jennifer Lewis here, Tamara Hoff-Pope, Reginald Spears,
Here.
Nicole Spicer,
Here.
and then we have a vacant parent spot.
Okay, so it looks like we have quorum. I'd like to move that we allow community member Pope and parent member Barclay to participate remotely.
A second.
Motion been made and second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of allowing Dr. Pope and Ms. Barclay to participate remotely, please raise your hand. Any opposed? None. Any abstentions? All right, that motion passes, so Dr. Pope and Mrs. Barclay can participate remotely. All right, so
Quick
we'll
question.
move-
Sorry.
Yes.
Flowers' name is not on this. I guess it doesn't really matter, but his name is not on this list. Okay.
Yeah, I guess we'll get to that, but he hasn't technically given us his resignation, but, I think that's forthcoming.
Okay. So, no, I just noticed that she called his name, but it wasn't on this list. No big deal, I guess.
Gotcha. All right, as we always do, we start with the agenda. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at the agenda?
Yes.
Any changes or modifications?
I'd like to update the roll call list to reflect 2 vacant parent positions. Although we have not received the formal resignations, 2 students have been transferred out of the school, so it's unofficial official. Ms. Wheatley will be homeschooling as of this school year. And the Flowers family has relocated. So I received a request for records from New School for Kayla. So we have 2 parent vacancies now.
Okay.
So should I have had Miss Wheatley on there instead of a vacant
Well,
spot?
when I posted the agenda on Monday, I did not know that. So this is why
Oh,
I'm making a
gotcha,
motion to
gotcha.
amend the,
Gotcha.
So how does this say?
agenda to reflect 2 parent vacancies for those reasons.
Second.
All right. Motion's been made and properly second. Any discussion?
So I have a question. Okay, so we haven't received anything officially in writing from, I'm sorry, from either parent yet, right?
Right,
But you received transfer
request.
request.
So because of the transfer request, they are no longer students, so they can no longer serve in a parent role. So the formal resignation is a technicality. If the student is not enrolled, they can't serve in that spot.
Dr. Pope has
Yeah,
something to say.
I'm-
Dr. Pope asked, so we need to hold a special election for the parent vacancies.
No. They get appointed by the LSC.
Which is what the process they went through for Ms. Wheatley.
Okay, so, and I hope in this situation, we at least extend the invitation to parents overall, to see if there's interest before we bring those nominations to the floor. Are we contemplating something of that nature?
I don't think so. I think, you know, if we know people that are interested, I think we should nominate them. But having a process, bringing people, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, if that's something that everybody wants to do, I suppose we could do it, but, my thoughts were that we just bring nominations and have the nominations appear before the board and then we vote. I mean, before
Well,
that.
I know our parliamentarian isn't here, but I do wanna, point of order. We do have a motion on the floor, and so I wanna remind us to keep our discussion for the motion. Once we, close discussion for the motion and vote on it, we can talk about the appointment process, if
But-
that comes up.
This is discussion for the motion on the floor, isn't it?
No.
No, I am just asking to update the agenda to
Oh.
reflect the two parent vacancies.
Okay,
And so in new business, we'll probably
Okay.
talk about
okay.
the appointment for the vacancies.
So I'm, just for clarification, vacant parent that's already on there, is that,
That was Mr. Flowers,
okay,
and the second is now Ms. Wheatley.
okay. Now, Renata,
She formally resigned, and that we had that before the organizational meeting, so we were able to nominate and select Ms. Wheatley.
okay,
And then
okay,
we
okay,
did
I
the
got you
officers.
now. Okay, all right, now I'm with you.
But Ms. Wheatley never technically
Sorry.
started because she's withdrawn.
Okay, I got you, I'm with you now, I got it.
All right, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor of Ms. Spicer's motion, vote by raising your hand.
10-10.
Is,
And-
who's virtual?
Dr. Pope and
So
Ms.
they're
Barclay.
both on there, okay.
All right, any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that motion passes. So we will amend the agenda to reflect that. That said, we will write into the agenda, the vision, Brownsville Classical Community intentionally values and highlights the strengths of all members who provide a personalized learning experience, celebrating diversity and practicing creative problem solving in order to cultivate a strong accelerated program to nurture lifelong learners. The mission of the BCS commits to personalized growth and empowerment of all. In the norms, be result-oriented, be fully present, be respectful of others' time, assume the best intentions, stay student focused. We'll go right into the agenda, and we've already had a roll call and established quorum. Has everyone reviewed the minutes? Thank you, Mrs. Lewis, for those awesome minutes, and very timely, I must say.
All right, you're welcome.
I move that we accept the minutes as submitted.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and properly seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of approving the 7-12 minutes, vote by raising your hand. Are they online, raising their hands as well? Okay, great. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the minutes are approved. We have already approved the amended agenda. It looks like the public comment portion is now. Do we have anybody online, or do we have anything from the listing box?
No.
Anybody here present want to make a public comment? All right, there being none, we'll move right into the principal's report. Spicer?
Right, good evening, everyone. We have a total of 420 students enrolled with one pending, so right now, 421. Of those 421, 257 of those students will be counted for on track this year, which will be grades 3 through 7. Small typo on my report. Right now, our medical compliance is extremely low, which is 27.38, partly due to new school year. Well, not an extra, the extra is 27.38. We have, most of the physicals from the kindergarten, but all those have to be input. So we are looking at, immunization updates for 6th grade especially, and making sure that our kindergartners are compliant. And then, new physicals are needed for kindergarten and 6th grade. We do have, an immunization event scheduled for September 8th, similar to what we did when we were offering the COVID vaccine. Nurse David is willing to work with the University of Chicago to get the medical van out, but our school, most of our families have a primary care physician, and so if we don't get a certain number of signed consents on file, we can't schedule. So we're just starting early to push out that medical compliance. We don't have any achievement data yet, so no grade point averages. And then we start over fresh with our family income information forms. New this year, we are going to start with our student fees through Aspen, so I'll be able to provide regular payment updates to the LSC so that we know more accurately how many of our families are participating in the student fees per year. Of
About the medical van, is that for all immunizations or certain specific ones, or do you know what they're gonna?
I'm gonna ask Dr. Barron to see if he knows what they offer. My assumption is that it's any immunization they need for school. So they'll offer physicals or immunizations that they need to be updated to be compliant for school compliance.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yeah, generally it's,
And Dr. Bear, how will they monitor that? Like, how will they confirm that somebody hasn't had Hep B or Hep C or MMR? How
yes.
will they do that?
So the expectation would be that they would bring their most updated records to show to the provider, because I doubt if they're on iCare or any of the state websites. So they'll probably have to just bring in documentation.
Yeah. So which is my assumption that we probably won't qualify for the VN because many of our families do have a private pediatrician, but we do have the immunization event that people can register for. So when they register for that, it provides a consent to see, my child's going to be unaccompanied, so we'll provide someone to be with the student if that is the case, or the parent can actually come in. And so when they register, they will get all of that pre-registration information.
And on a similar note, I already an email, I haven't confirmed it, that they're recommending masks again because there's a new variant coming out and all that stuff. Have you heard anything about that or the vaccine?
We don't have any guidance yet, but our school nurse stays on top of it. So he has already started to do some research in terms of what he recommended, is he taking it personally himself. So we just started some of those informal conversations this week since the staff is back, but we have not gotten any clear guidance from CPS on mask requirements or any updated boosters being a requirement. In terms of requiring it or mandating the vaccine, I'm not anticipating that just because it's not fully authorized. I don't think anything from COVID is fully authorized, so I don't think you can mandate people to take something that's not fully authorized. And then secondly, we do have a lot of PPE already on site. So if we need masks, we have enough to pass out to teachers almost daily if we had to. And then Mr. Lewis assists us with keeping account on our COVID tests. So we'll have some COVID tests available on Friday because I think the expiration date is something like September 25th. So we'll get those out to families to use so that they can have a stock. And then we're anticipating 5 cases on August 28th. And then we have about another 200 or 300 that won't expire again until maybe like January. So we have what we need on hand.
And then, Dr. Barron, if I'm not mistaken, even those expired kits, they've still been encouraging us that we can use those. Have you
Yeah, I
seen
mean,
any of
as
those?
a last resort, yeah, if you don't have any.
So
Yeah.
I know for me, if once it goes past that extension date, I can't distribute it, so I'm gonna give.
Oh, so they give you an extension date?
So we got the FDA extension date.
Okay,
And
okay.
so we're at that extra 6-month mark. So
Okay.
I'm trying to get them out before we get to that 6-month mark, so they just don't
Yeah,
get tossed.
yeah.
I think this summer we ended up tossing maybe like about 100 or 150 because they had gone past that 6-month date.
So I just want to add to that, 'cause we reviewed it yesterday at my site. So there's no new CDC recommendations at this point, and in terms of the state, the numbers haven't risen to a point where there's been any new recommendations as well. So it's pretty much the same at this point.
And do you know if they're gonna offer
Yeah.
testing in schools this
We
year?
haven't got any clear guidance on that yet, but, we don't have a care room anymore. All right, so ending the school year in May, 73% of our students, had a completed vaccination course, and 4% of students had at least one.
For vaccinated, sorry. So, would you think it would be helpful to maybe have some, for opening of school, have some patient education around vaccinations to pass out? You think that would support and just trying to encourage?
I don't think that our barrier is not having the information.
Okay,
I think the barrier is just getting paperwork.
okay,
Because I don't, there'll be very few families in our community that are not going to the doctor regularly. It's just following up and getting the actual paperwork.
okay,
That is the barrier.
okay.
Sixth grade is always a challenge because people don't realize they got to do it again until
Right.
it's time to say you got to do it again.
Yeah.
So happens freshman year in high school. It's every benchmark is always a challenge in the school system. So it's always the first group to come in, and then the group that turn into sixth grade.
And we I probably count on my hands on the number of families that have like a waiver. So most of our families have pediatrician and go. We don't get the paperwork to us.
Okay.
And so, with respect to that, and the income waiver, and the school fees, is there a strategy to get these things in?
Yes, I'm so happy that you asked. So with our back to school event, the district did fund our event, so it didn't have to come out of our discretionary fund. And we do have some very exciting things planned for this school year. So we have caricature.
Caricature?
Yes, that's what we'll have. We'll have a balloon artist, we'll have rainbow cone truck, we'll have live grilled hamburgers and hot dogs, giant slide, jumpy cows, and open photo booth. So everybody this year has to come through door one, and coming through door one, it is a form station. So we are trying to collect the family income information form.
We will be collecting.
We will be collecting the family income information form from everybody that comes on Friday. And then there are also some other prioritized forms that we're asking people to fill out, and then they'll get their ticket to go outside.
So basically, you gotta go through the channel in order to get to.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
You're welcome.
And then the student fees will go out through Aspen.
And we'll send out reminders for that.
People did not like getting those bills last year. I started to get a lot of feedback from that.
That's
So
right.
I'm thinking that Aspen is the way to go. So I'm gonna make sure that at our first open house, I need the teacher where everybody comes in, nobody wants to get that paper. So we'll have those CPS student account papers available. And I mean, you can.
But be correct, because you sent me one, and I had already paid.
Yeah, because we sent it out to everybody last year because we didn't know who paid. And so we made corrections. So that was retro for last year. This year we're thinking ahead. So nobody's paid yet because nothing's been posted. And I removed it from our eBay site. So we're being a lot more intentional this
Yeah,
year.
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. Richardson.
Anything else? Okay. I did include our August and September calendar events. You all are getting this before the families get it. Mrs. Spears and I actually sat down and tried to think of everything for the school year. Monthly, we'll continue to provide updates if anything changes on the calendar. But open house or meet the teacher night September 6th. We are doing special induction ceremony for our 7th graders. We have the school required and recommended vaccination event. Classrooms to careers is coming back, so they're gonna do a parent orientation. We are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. We will continue with Ladies of Virtue. They will be working actually with through 7th grade students. We are working on our male mentor, and I haven't forgot. We also will have a virtual parent orientation for the 6th and 7th grade families. We are taking an overnight trip, our first ever BCS overnight trip, so I'm super excited about that. And then you see the next day is when our Ladies of Virtue starts for 6th and 7th grade. And then because of the number of lessons, I believe it's 12 when you get to 5th grade for sexual health education. Mr. Candleman is starting early so that they don't spend all of their movement hours in health for 1 quarter, so he's going to spread it out throughout the school year. So we'll have our virtual sexual health education informational for families in grades 5 through 7. We haven't decided what our observable classroom measures will be. Mr. Mitchell already went over our vision and mission. New this year, we are combining and integrating our CIWP into 2 priorities instead of 4. The first priority will be all around curriculum and instruction, specifically personalized learning, which there will be 4 signature strategies. There will be 4 signature strategies that will be focused on this year, specifically for curriculum and instruction, and then connectedness and well-being, really focusing on supportive and positive discipline for all. We are pretty much done with the draft. At our next LSC meeting, we will have to vote and approve it because it is a deadline. I did not want to call a special meeting. I am going to send it out in draft form so that you all can read it ahead of time. Come with your questions. We can make any adjustments at that meeting, and then we can approve it.
In this, will you include, I'm assuming you'll include the requisite data that we need to look at in order to evaluate it?
There's not really so when we were developing and working on the CIWP and deciding on the priorities, there was some data that we used from last year, some student data, test scores. We used like the 5 essentials, feedback, things like that. But there's not a lot of I'm not sure what prerequisite data you might be referring to.
We're going to invite our parents. So I believe Mr. Mitchell and I think Akira volunteered to be on the CIWP committee. So once the school year starts, we're going to invite you all in before we finalize the draft to present to LSC. So you can ask any questions or make sure whatever data sets you think are relevant for the LSC to review, we'll have those available. Or maybe share them electronically with the draft.
Okay, but that won't be the full CIWP committee?
Well,
Because remember, we gotta have like 9 people out there.
So we will be having enough with, when you and Akira join, we'll have enough.
Okay.
We'll have enough, yeah. But we'll invite you, we'll probably be at least 2 more minutes. And then we'll send out the draft. Okay. Our powerful practices school year is going to be personalized learning. Getting into the 4 domains. So domain 1, we held planning meetings for the CIWP, planning meetings for the culture and climate team, held meetings with the first learner case manager focused on schedules and instructional support. Met with our personalized learning coordinator focused on her PL coordinator kickoff and week 0 professional development. And we hosted our annual BCS summer retreat focused on adult SEL connectedness and well-being. For domain 2, the instructional core, we planned our curriculum-based professional development for Amplified ELA, Amplified Science, and Math. We completed the rostering for Beable and PBIS rewards, completed the local summer bridge program for grades 5 and 6. All students were successfully promoted. We completed our summer Eagle Actress program, and then we completed our Amplified ELA adoption. For domain 3, culture and climate, we restructured some of our school-based teams. Our IoT lead will be Resident Principal Love, who is joining us this evening. His letter of introduction went out to the school community. Maybe in public comment, if you all want to, I'll give him an opportunity to introduce himself and maybe do a quick Q&A if you guys have any questions. Ms. Keepers and Mr. Marty are going to lead our MTSS team. Mr. Spears and Ms. Frito will lead our culture and climate team. Ms. Cannon and Ms. Wallace will focus on behavioral health. Ms. Shine is our DL team lead, and Ms. Parks Jackson is our PL team lead. We will have a staff book study on the 4 agreements. We have a new PBIS system for SY24, and maybe join a new business. Mr. Spears can talk a little bit about that. Our awards assemblies are back. 6th and 7th grade students will be invited to attend the first ever BCS overnight trip in May 2024. And then the middle school will earn admission to our first ever evening dances, the sneaker ball on December 20th, and then the spring fling / summer soiree. I didn't know which one to go with because it's June 5th. Last but not least, the domain of talent. We have successfully hired teachers and staff for all vacancies. Ms. Schnall is going to be our 3rd grade STEM teacher, and Ms. Zawizak will be our 4th grade STEM teacher. They are still in the onboarding process, and we are finalizing our plan for coverage. And we will share that information with our 3rd and 4th grade families. Ms. Gray has been assigned to BCS as a cadre. And a cadre is a long-term sub who has a teacher certificate. And then I have been selected again this year to be a lead mentor, but I do not have an assignment yet. Unfortunately, the Inglewood Bronzeville STEM School for Boys that was supposed to take over for Urban Prep did not get approved. So the mentee that I had is being reassigned, so I don't have a mentee right now. I continue to participate in the Network 9 principal collaboration team with Drake, Mollison, Revis, Woodlawn, and Beasley. And then lastly, for my leadership development, I am in the Personalized Learning Admin PLC, which is called the Professional Learning Community. And then I also have a leadership coach from New Leaders.
When do
You
we
neglect to
anticipate-
also announce that you were a CPS games principal game changer.
Yes, I'll never be a game changer, yes. Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Well,
I know you wouldn't let me forget about that.
I have a question. How long do we anticipate the onboarding taking with these new teachers?
I don't know, it's completely out of my hands.
Whose hands is it in?
The talent office.
CPS HR, every single school that has a human that's been in the pipeline since the middle of July has been waiting. So everybody just waits. People work and volunteer the first week of school because they're not staffed yet officially. That happens around the city every year, no matter what school, no matter how politically connected you are. Everybody gotta wait.
Okay. I'll challenge you on that.
Well, make it happen. I'll take it.
No, but it just doesn't seem, I mean, we got kids that need to be, I can understand if there was a hold, like, but
Well,
it's just to
the
have it not,
The biggest holdup is everybody uses the same agencies for background checks. So if you need a background check, everybody has to go through state police, everybody has to go through FBI, violence against children, and I think there's one more that they have to do, as well as like get their TB test done, and then like ID for the I-9 form. So they do have a dashboard, so I'm able to look on the dashboard to see if it's on our candidate or if it's on talent. The dashboards haven't been updated because I'm checking for 3 people. We have 2 teachers and a new miscellaneous person. So the dashboards haven't been updated, but I've been trying to follow them to track how many days they've been onboarding, and how long it's taken to process. We also have a command center that's open, so
You said
everybody.
we gotta get behind people that's been in since July.
Well, all my July candidates have been staffed, so we're getting better. We're getting better, Dr. Davis. Since they got the dashboard, it has been better. Our candidates did not get hired until August, so it's just one of those things. But
No parents.
I can tell you, so both of them have been on, so Ms. Schnall has been in the onboarding process for 4 days. And Ms. Zawizlak has been in the process for 3 days. I can tell you for third grade, Ms. Snow, she has completed all of her things. So now it's in staffing. And then for our fourth grade teacher, Ms. Z, she's at the drug test and TB test stage.
And under reasonable circumstances, how long should this take?
I got staffed in 1996.
Exactly.
Stand down in line and wait on 39th Street.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yep.
It was a
you're a part of the
Street.
Yes,
bureaucracy. It takes a
Elizabeth.
long time.
Yes.
So in
Elizabeth.
theory, again, I'm gonna say what happens again. You won't believe me. You always ask for extra evidence. They working as fast as they can because it's 600 schools and trying to staff every
Uh-huh.
vacancy in all 600 schools. And that's paraprofessionals, that's teachers, that's any school staff or personnel. So in theory, I've seen it happen like the first week of school, sometimes. But every teacher, literally, unless there's something wrong with the criminal background check, like shows up, teaches,
And teachers do
works.
take priority, so they are staffing for other things. So like I know my miscellaneous person is not prioritized right now. So they are prioritizing teachers. They are working around the clock. Like I was getting emails from the talent office on Saturday and Sunday. So I do know that they're working evenings, they're working weekends. I successfully, got a cadre. Typically a school like Brownsville wouldn't even qualify for a cadre because we typically have subs who will work in our building and we typically are fully staffed. But because we're down to teachers, we have a cadre. So.
No, I get it. And the reason I ask is, with this LSC advisory board, they ask us all these, and I'm gonna be like the budget, and it's onboarding, it's just unacceptable.
And if it's a new teacher, it's sometimes their license
And so
sometimes
I
you
will
wait.
say that is the difference between the two teachers there. Ms. Schnall used to be a CPS teacher, so.
You get restaffed.
She's been gone long enough to have gone through the whole process again, but she still was a former CPS employee, so, that has definitely probably been helpful for her. To understand and to know like the sense of urgency, like somebody new to the district, maybe not so much. But we've been working and been in contact, they've been communicative, they come to make sure at least their room is organized, students have a warm, welcoming environment to come to. We are fortunate to have interventionists, so I anticipate our interventionists, taking that lift on the first week of school, worst case scenario.
Dr. Davis said they come and teach on it.
Sometimes they're
If
able
you
to,
get
and
a
sometimes
central
they're
office person who has an instructional background, but I'm gonna say that they probably prioritize those candidates for schools that have way more vacancies than we do. And just like the school bus driver shortage, there is a teacher shortage. Mr. Spears can probably tell you ad nauseum how much time he spent this summer and the overtime I paid my team to come in to do interviews. We really did try not to just take a warm body. We worked really hard to find the best that was out there. And it just took us until August. Well, that concludes my report.
You left one thing off your report. Don't you have a birthday tomorrow?
I do
Oh,
have a birthday
birthday too?
tomorrow. My birthday is tomorrow. Thank you.
Happy
Ms.
birthday.
Brown. Thank you.
Wow.
Wow.
You telling them?
I mean, I just think that every birthday is a blessing,
It is.
so I'm gonna take it.
That don't make it right.
Oh, the other thing I did wanna leave, just in the busyness and getting the meeting rescheduled, I did not print out or upload the financial reports yet, but the folder will be organized just like it was previously, and I'll have all those financial reports updated, by the end of the week. We have to do the new things, so, do you all need the budget codes and stuff? I'm just gonna give everybody, I'm gonna put everything in there again. So the budget codes, the internal account reports, and the position report, the school organization chart, school calendar. Oh, I got a lot of stuff to figure out. So just look for an organizational upload by the end of the week. So those will be provided. I have not had to make any budget transfers, to cover anything. We did pretty good, with the budget, so although you all gave me permission to transfer money, I have not had to take advantage of that. I did want to share only until September 13th where we revisited. But so far, I haven't had to do anything, so that's a great thing. The other report I did want to run for you guys was the,
Can I interject here just before you go to the next one, because I need to leave. So what I'd like to do is just continue virtually, if the board would grant me that.
I'd like to make a motion, we allow Joyce Brown to participate virtually.
Second.
Motion made and properly second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor, vote by raising your hand.
So I'm in, you'll put me in?
Any opposed?
Did you second it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any abstentions? All right, motion's been made and approved, so you can just, you send her a link, or does she have her?
I'm trying to get on now.
I don't have to approve anything. All I
It still
did.
says you'll
I'm saying
join when
link.
someone lets you in. Did you let me in yet? I think you have to let me in. I'm joining like another parent, just like another parent.
I don't. What are you joining the link that we sent? That I
Yeah.
sent earlier today?
Yeah.
I don't have a way to let you in.
Is that right?
Spears.
Spears. Are you doing my job?
no, I just take those.
Okay.
Is that?
I do really appreciate the recordings though, because I went back.
What happened?
This is the one that's invited. This email here. And this one.
What does it say? If you click on that.
I can't. It's just showing me who's in the.
It's saying, do I have the right number? You all go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to hold you up because I got to.
Okay, so I just wanted to share, any check disbursements that we've had since our LSC meeting. We pay Live and Believe Wellness for an adult SEL professional development for our retreat, $800. We pay our keynote speaker for the retreat, $1,500. Dr. Lionel Allen, he's a leadership coach from UIC.
Wait, 1,500 was the,
Lionel and Brandon.
Rainbow Cone was $18.50. Breakfast for the staff through catering by David was $1,020. We paid a deposit for our balloon installments, for our balloon wall, for the first day of school, and for the back-to-school event, $815. And then we paid for, PBIS rewards for the students, $3,892.50.
you said
Um,
3,800.
$92.50.
Okay.
PBIS rewards came from student fees. Bronze balloons came from the back-to-school money from the district. Catering by David came from rental fees from something to build upon. Rainbow Cone came from the back-to-school money from the district. Dr. Allen and Live and Believe came from our rental monies from something to build upon. So those are our disbursements since our July LSC meeting, and again, no budget transfers this over the last few weeks. Our diverse learner case has not changed. We got a few new kindergartners who have speech only, so our numbers did go up. We have a new case manager. All services are covered, all minutes are met. And we're ready to go for the fall for our diverse learners. And we are, fully staffed in our diverse learning department, which is not the case in a lot of schools. So we are very fortunate.
Awesome.
That is truly the end of my report.
All right. You kind of addressed CIWP. Anything else you want to add to that? All right, so we'll move on to new business.
I did want to discuss and approve an athletic fee. We do have really nice uniforms for our sports teams that the district did give us like about $15,000 last year, and so we were able to cover most of the costs for that. For like cheerleading, to really compete and look nice, there's typically always some money that we have to collect. The Friends of Bronzeville has been really helpful in that way. But I was just thinking in perpetuity, and I don't necessarily have a fee, but knowing that uniforms are gonna have to be replaced, as we get bigger, we may have to start getting a bus. Buses we know are between $250, $350. So I just wanted to put it out there that we may want to start thinking about a sports fee for our students. I had no idea my high school life, so as a mom of a freshman, I was very shocked when I looked at my Aspen account, and I have a $150 fee for cross country. So
They just dropped that on there?
yeah, it's already there. Payable.
We need our freshman basketball, it's $1,000.
You said 1,000?
Like 1000.
One with a
Okay.
comma.
Well, I'm thankful for my 150 Principal Callaway.
Hooping in the backyard.
So just something to, so
Coach Slaughter says, you run
So
a
can-
professional
I-
program here. Everybody got it.
If we do get a number, or have to decide on a number, can you bring us like just some information on, how much they cost, how long they'll last, what are, how many, people can't afford to pay, so we can kind of have an idea what it looks like.
That's a
So
fundraiser.
the estimated bus budget for the season for each team.
Ms. Spicer, do you know of any other elementary schools that use this fee program that you can just kind of see how their structure works?
not really, I think
Okay.
outside the high school level, I don't really think that there are schools that are doing fees. I think that if schools have discretionary money, that they can just purchase things for their students, they just do. I just know like our cheerleading team, every year the girls have to get the shoes, the socks, the bow, your briefs, and probably your shell. We really do have nice uniforms, and because we have quite a few already, we may just have to get like one or two, which we can afford as a school. But I just know like, if we did get fees, it could offset those students who can't afford it, and we can just get it for everybody. It was a couple families that couldn't afford it. The Friends of Bronzeville stepped up, but I know that for our Friends of Bronzeville, money that they fundraise for, we really want to have a broader impact. And so I'm just trying to think about ways to make it more sustainable. And even, with theater, Mr. Spears buys a lot of his own backdrops, his own props, his own costumes. He makes them, himself. So I just want to support our, programs that add value to the instructional program. But I don't really have a hard number. I just want to start thinking about that.
Are you talking about one number uniformly over, or like cheerleading 100, art 200, basketball 150? Which?
I do think that it should be programmatic based. So I don't think that everybody should pay the same thing because the costs associated are different.
The only thing about that is with anything that uses out-of-school time funds for that grant, we cannot charge the students for that. So they cannot get a fee. So if they're in theater and we're getting paid through OST money, we can't charge them a fee.
But we raise money for you all.
Right. But he was saying about other like programs that we have. So like it wouldn't really affect anything other than sports because those other things come with OST and that comes with its own administrative money that we can use to spend for things like that.
Could
And
we,
also you're doing it the same, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, I'm just thinking out loud, could we pull money from something else? from the something to build upon rentals, or from private donations, or maybe it's leftover from student fees. I'm just wondering, so parents don't have to.
So I think the tricky thing about that is student fees, I have to provide a fee schedule of how that money is allocated. Sports tournament is not in there because it's only a small population of the school. And then I also don't wanna add on to the 5th through 7th grade things because everybody may not
Doesn't do
play.
it, yeah.
So that's why I was thinking we just have to do like a team specific type deal. But anytime I have to offset costs, I usually use the rental monies for that. Those monies don't expire, they roll over from year to year. So that is like our cushion, but I just want us not to ever be in a situation
Right.
where we can't show up in the way that we do because we don't have money and we're already in a bind. So I'm just forward thinking.
Right.
That's not our issue right now. We do have, funds available to support all programming. But I just want us to be thinking about that. And whether that is like, talking to coaches about fundraising, or if we create a booster club, and so the booster club just takes care of that, and maybe it's not a fee. So I mean, I just want us to start generating ideas.
Right.
So that we can think outside the box.
I think the expectation is that when you play a sport, you're gonna pay something. Now, it might not be $1,000, but I think, something, I think at least as a parent, kids just play, the expectation is that I'm gonna pay something.
But it was the same thing as the school fees. Your inability to pay cannot limit your ability to
I
participate.
just say that, I didn't want you to say that.
I know you. I am what you call a public school advocate and the community member.
That's right.
So
So you gotta play your role. That's
So
right.
everybody play your position.
That's right.
Welcome to
That's right.
public school.
I was hoping nobody, if Richard would know, he might normally say it, because
There cannot be any barriers to participate.
Absolutely, and there would be, because we do have quite a families who can, and so that does offset, so the impact to other accounts is not as significant because, those who can do pay.
So in that mindset, because this is something that I've thought about and talked about with Ms. Forrest for the arts department, would it be beneficial to leverage the Friends of and have their own sports account with the Friends of Bronzeville, just like I would like to have one for the arts department, so that in the time that you're doing fundraising, we don't have to go through CPS vendors for things, we can buy things outside, and then they can be stored money through the 501c3. I don't know if that's how that works, but maybe that is an avenue, and then the expectation is you volunteer at an event as a parent to help fundraise for the Friends of, for the sport that your student is in, or for the thing that your child is in.
That sounds like it's an agenda item for the Friends of.
I just wrote that down, so yes, we can connect with the Friends of and maybe schedule a meeting so we can talk about how we can structure that and move forward.
Because maybe the requirement is not financial, but time, a time
Yes,
commitment.
I love
that's
that.
valuable.
I absolutely love
We're
that.
dealing with that right now.
Yeah, and I mean, they need volunteers for spirit gear sales all the time.
Right, so if
And
we're
it's just a small group trying to
trying to
keep
do
it
it,
going.
exactly.
That's also gonna happen with driving things, because there are no bus drivers anyway for regular school. So if you gotta pay a bus to get somewhere and you can't get it at a certain time,
This volunteer
any human
driving.
any sports parent, sports coach, you like,
Carpool.
need people to drive. Who's able to drive? We gotta take all these kids home.
Great
Who's
ideas.
taking them home? It's just a normal, regular thing. Way too many kids in my car in the late 90s, early 2000s.
I hear you.
In fact, we could rent vans for cheaper than we could rent
Right.
True.
a bus.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
And we could do
They
it
were
with
10,
the,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
10,
yeah,
12, whatever.
yeah.
We may need to put that on our list of like volunteer just to drive kids to the event.
but that would, that could be a Friends of conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
To earn your fee, yeah. Got it. All right, well, that concludes my new business. It was something else in new business. Oh, I wanted to introduce resident principal Love to the LSC. He'll be joining us monthly in the evenings. His letter did go out. Dr. Davis and Dr. Pope, I gotta remember to add you all on so that you can get all the school-based communications.
Oh,
in.
for Parent Square?
Yes,
If you send me their information, I can put it in.
Got it. I think it's on the calendar invite
Okay.
for LSC.
Yeah, I'll get it from you before we leave.
All right. Mr. Love, did you want to say anything?
Sure. I want to say good evening to everyone. My name is Anthony Love. I am a product of CPS through a high school. I got into teaching about 28 years ago. That's how long I've been with CPS. I've intentionally taught at different schools to really draw on my perspective. I'm happy to be here through collaboration between UIC and CPS. I'm really excited that I landed here. In order to be the best, I feel you got to study from the best, get tutelage from the best. And when I leave here in a year, I'm going to take a little piece of Bronzeville out to the world and spread it.
Thank you, Mr. Love.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, he's very humble. He is a limb-blown eagle.
I was gonna say which high school. You might as well just say what it is.
Started Westinghouse, worked at Alraby. So he really has a high school background. Did a little bit of middle school. So he's definitely selling himself short. So we have a fantastic resident amongst us.
Where'd you go to college?
Went to Morehouse.
Okay. Decent school.
Florida right here.
Oh, Florida A&M. Nothing but love for Florida A&M. Your greatest president, Dr. Humphreys, was at Morehouse.
He went to FAMU. Now, what you talking about, Dr. Humphreys? Now, he an alpha. I give him that part.
I knew that was the next thing we I tried to stop you. I tried to warn you, Mr. Love.
So I'm
I tried to warn you.
And the great state of Georgia gave you us. Thank you.
y'all blessed.
All business,
Old business, that's you.
all business. We reviewed the meeting norms. Do you all think we need to add anything, take away anything? The other new business.
Kind of like conversation that we talked about with the parents, kind of like going over like processes and kind of things.
Yes, we need to schedule that. Yes.
Like a
Wait, what are we
orientation or
talking about?
Yes, would you like to share with the
So, no,
the body what you're
We
talking about?
talked about, you know how every year.
Let me check my note.
There are sort of things that come up that can sort of ease the pain with teachers and parents. For example, the process. If you want to know what assignment your kid had, first go to the group me or the classroom person. And then if you don't get that, then go to the teacher. As opposed to going to Miss Spicer first and saying, what is my kid's homework today? Just adding processes in, kind of like your kid is in class and somebody, used his pencil and he got mad. Well, the process, talk to the teacher first, find this out. If it's not resolved, go to this person, not call the police and say, somebody took my kid's pencil. I need this other kid arrested. Things like that. That just, we can kind of put out to parents like processes so that, it can ease the tension with the teachers, ease the burden on the principals, and kind of have everybody on the same page. For the most part, people still gonna do it, but just kind of, don't do a U-turn on the street. Don't double park and drop your kid off. Don't call the security and tell them you're outside, seeing your, just little things like that, that kind of operation.
What about like an infographic type?
Whatever, that's
thing?
what we're talking about. Something.
Yeah,
So we are going to have a parent orientation.
okay.
And so, I know that Ms. Barclay and Mr. Mitchell have been talking a lot about that, so we just need to get, a date on the calendar.
So one of the things we do as an organization, we have like our monthly newsletter as well. We have things you should know. And so maybe we could, in addition to the event that you're talking about, when we recognize things that come up, we have a little section, things you should know, to kind of explain, so it won't happen again.
New to the nest.
Ms. Barclay added, yes, this is so important, and an orientation, presentation norms for new families and refresher for continuing families.
Got it.
Can we
Yeah.
call it new to the nest? New to the nest. That's the new stuff.
You jump around with a shirt matching bag and shoes. How about that?
Don't do that.
Hold on,
You
let me
always-
get my-
You always coordinate over there.
This little,
Like, we can give it oral sort of summary, but then have a, basically, like you said, summary of it, give it to parents. And then when they call Ms. Spicer for something simple, she can say, now, did you refer to your things to know? Now, did you follow that? So, she's good at it.
Now, although I'm not a
Trust me, I
parent,
know.
I have talked to parents, and there's not my devil's advocate position on that, and I normally don't do this, is that I have heard there's a lot of communication. And some of this is about things to know, some of this is about norms, and some of this is about teachable moments. So I'm just setting that as a caution, like,
But
hey, we're gonna have a
that's-
parent orientation, we're gonna have a refresher, we welcome everybody to come, we encourage you to come, yada,
So
yada,
the
yada.
things to know, I'll probably just ask like my principal knows. that
Exactly,
will
right,
be a
because it's
separate
all, right,
communication.
because there is a lot of communication, and that's a great thing, that's a
And I
great
think we
thing.
also are refining some things as well, so like, making sure that families are clear on what is gonna come through the parent square, what the family group needs are, like, I am intentional not to respond on that because that is not how we communicate. So,
And we'll say that, literally that, like, don't expect Spicer to come on the group me and say, nah, that's a lie.
But that won't change, but that won't change the request. That's still not gonna change the request, even if the teacher says, this is kinda like, hey, the next person, this is the process, the next person you have to speak to in the order of things is this person. And some people jump all of those people and call the chief.
Exactly.
Like because that's what they're gonna do regardless of whatever process you put down there.
And we
So it's just
know
about the
that's- yeah.
communication, about open communication.
Yeah, those people are gonna be there no matter what. Yeah.
all this we were in, we did not talk about the selection process for our parent reps.
Yeah, again, when Joyce was here, my recommendation would be that we bring people who we think would be good people, who are working, who demonstrated their ability, and then take them from here. If we open it up to a school-wide process, that's gonna be a lot of work on us, evaluating the candidates, doing all that. And we can't have an election. We
Right,
have to.
that feels like a vote.
Right, so that's my proposal, but,
Is there I think we have a new LSC person for our network, is Jonathan now our LSC person?
Oh,
I haven't got one.
I heard that he's no longer the face person for, and he's moved on to LSC in some way, shape, or form, just FYI.
I don't
I
look
called
at
him
me
up and asked.
So,
As far as I know, it's still Marcus for Network 9.
okay.
Jonathan may have got a new job, I just don't know where.
I thought you
I was passing out books when we were doing Network 9, like, back pepper day, so I was listening, not listening, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
He actually was at our Network 9 retreat, so it's possible that he is his best partner. Yeah, but as far as I know, it's still Marcus. We do have an election this spring, we do it every other year, so the formal election is coming this spring. Do we at least just want to talk about maybe a few things that we're looking for in a candidate, so that we know like who to reach out to, who to ask?
Well, I was bringing that up to say, the question I would wanna know is, even if it's a minimal process, what's the regular process? Like even right now, this is a public open meeting. We could say, hey, we're gonna send a message out, we're just gonna say, just say, we have 2 parent vacancies open and they need to be filled, interested parties, please email, yada, yada, yada. And if that gets 27 emails, then we got 27 messages, then we gotta figure out a process for that. But it's already a recorded public meeting where people are aware that there are 2 vacant parent positions, and because.
So I don't want to send out the message, so I hear what you're saying, because I definitely don't have time to vet when we go through a process for 27 people. I'm thinking that we should have someone who is shown commitment to the BCS school community in some way,
whether that is through financial donation, time donation, resource donation. Because we have families who send resources all the time, but may not physically be here. We have parents who are willing to write the check and maybe can commit to a 90-minute monthly commitment. But I do think that they should have added value to the school community, either through time, effort, or money.
Yeah, and then too, in addition, I just think availability, and I'm not just saying you gotta be available, for 10 meetings, but you gotta be here at our meeting at least, and, be available on some subcommittee to do that work. Like, I don't want them to think just that the commitment is, the second Wednesday of the month, because it's gonna go beyond that. But, you ain't gotta spend all your time, but, to me, like you said, demonstrated work and availability, and, just willing to do the work, just willing to do what needs to be done to make us continue on the path to being the best school in the world.
Okay. So everybody clear on our marching orders? So if you have a parent that you have in mind, someone you're thinking of, bring them to the next meeting.
And please talk to them.
Yes,
So
make sure they're.
let's be clear, because last time we weren't clear. We're going to bring the person, now, at the next meeting, I will not be here. I told you I will hopefully be available by,
Virtual.
remotely. So, but we're gonna send that person here, and we're going to, introduce them and have them, whatever, present themselves.
So we should confirm their interest prior to the meeting and invite them to attend in person.
Now, I won't be able to talk. So how will I do that?
So I'm gonna make a motion to allow Mr. Mitchell to participate virtually for our September LSC meeting. And because, you won't be able to talk, you can definitely type any questions or comments that you have in the virtual meeting, but Ms. Barclay will be presiding over the meeting.
Okay.
You mean you
I
gonna make
made
a
a
motion at the next meeting, or you
No, I'm
making
making a motion today.
All right.
I move that Mr. Mitchell can participate virtually for our September LSC meeting.
Second.
All right, the motion been made and properly second. Any discussion? There being none. All those in favor, vote by raising your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Well, I want to check with Ms. Brown.
Did Dr. Barron vote? Did you vote?
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm sorry.
sorry. Okay.
Get off your phone.
No, I raised my hand.
Sorry.
You gotta count
That's
fast.
spicy today.
I know, right?
All right, well, the motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, so that is settled. The last thing I'm just gonna remind everybody, Chocolate Walk is this Friday, 3 to 6. The form went out, so if you wanna decorate your square, we definitely invite, our LSC members to come do an LSC square, seeing the BCS LSC, welcomes all the Eagles back to the nest. Our Scholastic Book Fair is gonna take place in November, and then our fall picture day is October 4th. That's all we got coming down the pipe.
Leading with literacy, we're here giving out books.
Leading with Literacy will be on Friday giving out books.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right. And again, Ms. Spicer, congratulations on your award. Early happy 50th to you. We wish you well on that. And
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
all those motions made, probably second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of adjourn, raise your hand. All right. Opposed?
Sorry. Now I'm right. I was writing. Ay, ay, ay.
So,
Honestly.
All right,
Okay.
any
And then-
abstentions?
off crimson and cream.
Ms. Brown didn't vote.
So I'll just put 9.
All right, that's fine.